Interested in learning about wine, but not sure where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowman, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a wine enthusiast turned wine educator and founder of the Seattle-based wine tasting business, Cork and Fizz. It is my goal to build your confidence in wine by making it approachable and lots of fun. You can expect to learn everything from how to describe your favorite wine to what to pair with dinner tonight, and so much more. Whether you're a casual wine sipper or a total cork dork like myself, this podcast is for you. So grab yourself a glass and let's dive in. Welcome back to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I am so glad you're here. If you're a new listener, welcome. And for those that have been around for a while, so glad you're back. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be listening to part 2 of my interview with David Britz. So if you haven't heard part 1, I do recommend pausing this and going back to episode 92 to hear part 1, just to give you a little intro to David. But as a reminder, David is the founder of DD Project Wines and the DD Entrepreneurial Foundation. Now, the DD Project was started in honor of his late mother, Diane Rizzo, who also happens to be the co-founder of the Capriati Sandwich franchise. All of their proceeds for DD Project Wines, any profit that they make, goes towards the foundation. And that foundation works to support and develop female-owned businesses via grants and educational opportunities. It's pretty perfect. You get to buy wine, enjoy great wine, and know that you're supporting a really important cause. Beyond being the founder of the DD Project, David is also an accomplished entertainment executive and the founder and president of Works Entertainment. Now, in this episode, we're going to dive a little bit more into David's music career and how he feels like music can connect to wine or what the connections are between those two. We're also going to talk about how wine can have a positive impact. David literally started a foundation that makes money by selling wine and then gives that money to female entrepreneurs. I want to know if he thinks there are other ways that wine can change the world for good. We're also going to talk about what's next for David and the DD Project, and I have a few fun little questions during the speed round that I think you'll want to stick around for at the end. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. Now, we've been talking a lot about the DD Project, but you also introduced yourself starting out that you are into music.
Yes.
And so you are also the founder of a music management and production company called Works Entertainment. I'm curious, you kind of hinted at this a little bit before, but what connections do you see between wine and music?
Well, I mean, they're infinite. And as you can see from our jazz and R&B festival in Napa Valley to, bottle rock to everything else, people who tend to love music and want to celebrate in community together with large groups of people tend to be people who like wine and like to share community with each other as well. So I think that there's definitely similarities, in that sense. And I think just the idea of a pairing, and we always talk about food pairings and wine, but I think there's definitely music pairings that are equally as important. If you're going to your favorite restaurant or if, you go to a party and, you want to set the right mood with the right food and the right wine and the right music, like those things all go together. They're all senses.
Yeah.
Your ears, your eyes, your taste, all of those things kind of blend together, in my opinion, and, are equally important. So I think there's definitely, definitely a lot of crossover between all of those things.
Yes, I love that. And I also like it. I wanted to hit on it again. You mentioned it earlier, that idea of like creating something that like could never be created exactly the same again, and like creating this piece of art. And I feel like you could almost consider like, yeah, like a good composition in music and that piece and being similar to like creating that special bottle of wine. And those are both like a creation that a lot of work went into, and we get to, I think it's so cool that we get to just enjoy that, right? On the wine side, and then also, on the music side, you get to enjoy all this passion and creativity and talent that went into creating it.
You're capturing a moment. And I think
Yes.
let's just say when you're at a live show or someone is, recording in the studio, that's a moment. And that moment happened at that point and it's captured. And I think the same thing happens with wine. The grapes that year were a certain way because of the terroir and the weather and, all the different factors that, create this unique set of circumstances that is the vintage and the harvest of that given year. And that is a moment. So there's a moment when you create music and when you play music, there's a moment where, the grapes come off the vine and that's the grapes.
Yeah.
That's the moment. And I think that's why you get into, you ask any sort of winemaker, when do you pick? How do you pick? Like they're looking for the moment. They're looking for the right
Yeah.
moment to take those grapes off the vine and to destem them and to start the process. And I think, life is about moments.
Yeah.
So there's that synergy there.
Absolutely. Just a quick reminder, if you are not on my mailing list yet, what are you waiting for? I would love for you to join. When you do, you'll get a free shopping guide that has 15 of my favorite wines under $15. Head to corkandfizz.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a little section where you can join the mailing list. I send out a weekly newsletter filled with wine tips, recommendations, special offers, and so much more. Now, let's get back to the show. So I definitely feel like in talking to you and also when I was reading about you and the things you've created, I definitely feel like you are a visionary and you're also changing lives with the DD project and with wine specifically. So I'm curious if you, this is kind of like an open question. It might be a little kind of big, but I'm like, do you think wine can change the world or wine can make a major impact? And if so, how?
I think people make impact. And I think that you had mentioned it earlier that, wine people are special people. And I think that those I think that's where the impact comes from is people doing good things. There's so many people that I've met in the wine world, and wine is hospitality. And because of the growing up in the food and restaurant business, I have a real soft spot and love for the hospitality industry. And that's what we do in music as well. We're taking care of our customers and our clients. And, I have a deep, deep love for that. And I think that's why you see these industries really, kind of be intertwined, is because we all sort of share that love of customer service and, just the love of hospitality and taking care of people. And, I think that to your point of wine changing the world, I think that wine people are really good people. And I think that really good people have the opportunity to change the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes me think of too, like you said, like creating that moment. I think hospitality, people in the hospitality world create those moments all the time for people, and that little extra that they go and how much they care about you having a good moment in the tasting room or at the winery or, at the restaurant really adds to your experience.
It is. It is. And I think that all of us in that industry, I consider it a responsibility to give people that, that time, that hour, those couple hours of escape, because
Yeah.
everybody's got things that are going on in their life. They may have a sick relative. They may be unhappy for some reason. They may have some depression. They may like some, who knows what's going on in somebody's life. But if you can give them that time, that hour, that 2 hours to escape and to be in the moment and to have a beautiful moment, like that to me, I think is such a joy and is a responsibility that I take seriously through all of our businesses.
Yeah.
On the music side, I'll sit at the back of the venue as fans are leaving, and I sort of secret shop and I listen to what people are saying and I listen to what they like and what they don't like, and I take notes on all that stuff. And when people reach out to my clients, or they reach out, or, they get responses, and whether it's me or it's somebody on my team, like I really consider that sort of hands-on approach important. And I think people become lifelong fans when they know they're being heard,
Yeah.
and that the brands and the artists are listening to them. I think as people, we just want to feel like we're seen.
No, absolutely. And we wanna be able to have those moments and we wanna, yeah, enjoy. I love just the idea of too, yeah. Like I'm thinking about like having a wine at the table with friends. You create a moment with the wine. And then when you go, you go out and you see a show and that's like that is a moment that typically stays in people's memories for quite some time and is like their little escape from exactly like you said, all the things going on in their lives.
Well, it's questions that you asked earlier. So it's, what is your wine moment? Like, what's your, you on the music side, you always ask people, what was your first concert? What was your favorite concert?
Yeah.
And then you ask people, what was your introduction to wine? What was your like big wine moment? And then, that would segue into what's your favorite wine, which to me is always like, I have children. And it's like, well, which kid's your favorite? I love them both. So I think if you're going to ask me like what my favorite wine is, that's going to be like I'm going to give you a list.
Well, get ready because we have a little fast route at the end, but I promise I word it, I think in a way that you'll like, but we'll
Okay.
find out when we get there. Going back, I just want to talk about the DD project one last time, talking about do you have any plans to expand the DD project? Sounds like some changes are happening or at least being talked about right now. What kind of dreams do you have for the foundation's future?
But the foundation, I want to keep growing. I mean, my goal is this is my overarching goal is to be the Newman Zone of wine. And if you know Newman's Own, it was, every consumer product, salad dressing, whatnot. And, they donated the money. And I would love to be the Newman's Own of wine where we get this thing to a point where, it's relatively commercial and we're able to really bring in a lot of money and donate a lot of money. That is my goal. So hopefully we can get to that point with
Yeah.
the help of the public.
Absolutely. We'll keep shouting it out. Everybody just keep talking about it. It's the best way to grow. Word of mouth, I swear, is like one of the best ways for any business to grow. Now, I see you partnered. There was a cool partnership with a WNBA superstar, Elena Del Don, for a collaboration, and the proceeds kind of went both to her foundation and yours. Do you have plans to collaborate with others in the future?
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, the collaboration with Elena was unique. One, because she's awesome. Two, because she loves wine. And we're both from Delaware. And it was just like sort of the perfect meeting of things. And we've done two wines together and we're going to do more. So that definitely is going to continue to grow. I'm really happy with like the initial buzz and excitement around her wines. And I think we're definitely gonna do more. We started with a Willamette Pinot.
Nice.
That was our first Pinot, and I couldn't be happier with that wine. And we did a red blend as a second wine, which I'm really happy with as well. And we've had great responses too. So that's going to continue to grow. And with regard to other, let's say athletes or celebrities that we would partner with, yes, I would be open to doing it. It's got to be the right person.
Sure.
It's got to be the person that sort of sees things the way we do. And if they do and they're interested in doing something good, then we would certainly love to have a conversation. And I think the great thing about that is it really hard to get into the wine business. So I feel like, as somebody who has gone through the process of starting a winery, it's one, time consuming. Two, it's expensive. So we can go in and partner with an artist or a celebrity and say, hey, listen, we've already done all the work. We can go in and, create your own label because ultimately people want to have their own brand.
Right.
Okay, great. We can create this brand for you and we can do the hard work and we can, each collectively donate our proceeds. And I
Yeah.
think that, again, as people that can do the hard work for them, I think that's attractive to a large set of people. So we've had a few conversations. We'll have a few more. And, I'll let you know on the next one. But
Yeah, definitely.
keep doing those things because there's a lot of studies out there that show that celebrity driven brands just sell better because of their ability to get the word out to cut.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's that reason to buy, right? Like you're buying it because you know the person who made it and you have, like you said, you need a reason. I think that's really, that's gonna stick with me with like thinking about like how people buy wine. Because you're right, people just need a reason to buy it. And that reason might change, but like you said, celebrity driven, they know the celebrity. They know, they at least have heard of it, seen it, people talk about it, and it'll help it sell.
Well, they like what they stand for, hopefully, and they know that, hey, I like Lana Deladon. I like what she stands for. I know that if this is something that she likes, I'll probably like it too. And
Yeah.
that is sort of what we need for discovery. And then once people discover, they're like, man, this is really good. And they continue to buy, and then they tell three or four of their friends about how good it is. Then that's how things continue to grow.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what we're working on, because to spend millions of dollars in marketing would not be something that we could achieve, and then we'd have no money to donate, and then it would, it all spiral really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I before we get to our speed round, last question is just about you. What's next for you? What's anything exciting on the horizon? I know you talked about one day doing WSET 3. Anything else exciting on the horizon for you?
On the wine side, I think we're going to continue to grow our brand, and we're going to expand into some new varietals. I want to increase our production. I want to increase our sales. We just started working with a new distributor on the East Coast, which I'm excited about. We're going to get into some states that we weren't in before. So like that, I'm excited about all that stuff. On the music side, our company does a lot of fun things. We have an incredible roster of clients that, we're fortunate to work with, a lot of whom, I've worked with for better parts of a decade, some 15, some 20 years, to the earliest days of my career, which is awesome. We produce a lot of live events as well. So we're going to continue to grow the live events business. That's, to me, a lot of fun as well. And that's sort of my basis for doing things. It's like, what's going to give me and our team joy? And that's what I want to do. I want to do things that bring me and other people joy. I want to do things because I have to do them. I want to do them because I'm passionate about them, because I feel like I'm my best self when I'm doing something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah. No, I love it. I realized I lied earlier. I do have one more question for you. I was going to ask it earlier and I forgot. As somebody who's created a foundation, what advice do you have anybody who wants to create their own foundation? This podcast is sponsored by VoChill. When you're enjoying a glass of wine, temperature matters. And you don't need to be a wine expert to know this. You know this the minute you realize you forgot to put the bottle of wine in the fridge, and now you're stuck with lukewarm Sauvignon Blanc that is the opposite of refreshing. You know adding ice cubes will just water the wine down, but it seems like it's your only option. Not anymore. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite wine gadgets, VoChill. This gadget is as simple as it is elegant. It will keep wine perfectly chilled in your own wine glass. No more clunky metal or plastic tumblers or ice in your wine. While this gadget is an absolute must during the summer months, I don't enjoy wine without it from June to September. It's also incredibly useful for those days when you're craving a glass of white or rosé, but you don't want to wait for the bottle to chill in the fridge. VoChill offers a stemmed and stemless chiller in multiple colors, so you're bound to find one that's perfect for you. They also make the perfect gift. I should know, I got one for my mom at Christmas a couple years ago, and she loves it. Head to vochill.com, that's VOCHILL.com, to get your perfect wine chiller, and don't forget to use code CORKANDFIZZ for 15% off your order. This podcast is sponsored by the Cork Crew Virtual Wine Club. Interested in trying new wines, but not sure where to start? Or maybe you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you love the idea of tasting wine live with me. If that's you, come join my Cork Crew Virtual Wine Club, and you'll get to sip wine with me twice a month while I help you find new favorite wines. The Cork Crew is not your ordinary wine club. This is a community of people who are passionate about exploring new flavors, learning about different wine styles, and having fun along the way. And the best part about this club, purchasing the wine is completely optional. Plus, all events are recorded, and you have access to the full library of recordings as a Cork Crew member, so you can always catch up if you can't make it live. Oh, and did I mention it's virtual, which means you get to do all of this from the comfort of your sofa in your PJs. No need to worry about driving in crappy traffic, finding a designated driver, or spending an arm and a leg on a taxi. Want to give it a try without the commitment? You're in luck. Right now, I'm offering a free class pass to anybody who wants to try out the Cork Crew Virtual Wine Tasting Club. With this pass, you'll be able to join a Cork Crew event of your choosing. No strings attached. I don't need your credit card. I don't need you to sign up for anything. You'll be my guest. Simply head to corkandfizz.com/free class pass to get your class pass and be one step closer to becoming a member of the best wine tasting club around, the Cork Crew. I can't wait to see you there. Now let's get back to the show.
Do it. Don't wait. I think, obviously there's legalities and certain processes that you have to follow to be a 501c3. And, obviously you have to make sure you're in compliance with all that stuff. But I think if there's something that you believe in and you feel there's a void in the market for what it is that you want to do, I say do it. And, figure out what your plan is. It's a business.
Right.
You have to have a business plan. You have to figure out how you're going to generate funds so you can do good with them. But, I think if you've got a plan and there's a void in the market, do it.
I love it.
I'm a big fan of action. There's a lot of people that talk about doing things and there's people that do things. I'm definitely a person that does things for better or worse.
Like you said, and I'm like, the other advice he has for the foundation is maybe don't have wine fund the foundation.
Right. Like I said, I'm in now and I'm committed.
Yeah.
I'll run my head through a wall. So it's gonna happen. That's what I was telling somebody this a couple weeks ago. I was like, listen, I've done this. I've hung myself out here. I put my mom's name into this. This is not gonna fail. Like,
right.
I'll make this happen. I will this to happen. Through hell or high water, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for it, and I hope this will continue to help push it out there. And I'm going to continue talking about it. I love the story behind it, the inspiration, and what you're trying to do is amazing. So before you go, I do have what I call my little speed round at the end. Speed just meaning don't think about it too much. It doesn't have to be the perfect answer. These are just kind of like some fun ones, and I actually added some new ones this year. So you're kind of getting the start of those. So we'll see how they go. So the first one is your favorite question, apparently, when it comes to wine. What is your favorite wine at the moment?
I like what you did there.
Yeah, see, I told you might like it.
So I'm going to tell you, just because this happened, I think on Monday, I've been waiting for 4 years to get on the direct-to-consumer purchase list for Saxon. And I finally got in this year after 4 years. So I was able to buy wine on Monday, which I'll get in February. So I'm super excited to finally have been able to get on the list and to have wine coming to me from them. So I'm stoked about that.
I love it. Okay. How about what is your go-to bottle of wine to bring to like a dinner party or to share with friends?
Who are we having dinner with?
I don't know. You're just going together with either your neighborhood friends or folks. They're maybe not necessarily wine lovers. They're just folks that enjoy drinking wine.
I think what I would do there is to bring a Pinot. If I don't know exactly what food we're having and I'm not trying to do an ad hoc pairing, I'm going to bring a Pinot and I'm going to bring good bottle, not blow your head off. I'm going to bring a good bottle because Pinot being fruit forward, sometimes a little jammy, spice notes. I feel like it's just a great wine to have around. It goes with a lot of different things. Maybe there's a charcuterie thing happening. We can kind of plug and play a little bit. So I'm going Pinot. As far as brand, you know what I love introducing to people to? So there is a really small batch Pinot, and it's called Road 31.
Okay.
And it's only mailing list. And this guy makes incredible Pinot. Only sells a mailing list, sells out every year. Great price point. And that's the wine I love bringing and introducing to people because I don't think I've ever poured that wine for someone that wasn't like, oh my God, it's that good.
Dang. Okay. Well, that sounds like a mailing list to join. Road
Oh,
31.
Road 31, check it out. The guy's super old school. So he sends letters.
Oh, I
So you
love
get
it.
a letter, and it's like this whole letter, and he tells you about what's going on with his life and his family. And then he talks about how the grapes were this year and how the vintage is looking. And, he's like, and you'll get an email about your allocation, and you
Oh,
can,
so you mean like a literal letter in the
oh, he's
mail?
in the mail. It's a
Oh,
mail.
that's so wonderful. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You get a letter in the mail, not
Oh
an
my
email.
God. That's
You get an
great.
email when it's time to buy, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but you get a letter talking about, his life and the vintage and what. It's just what he does is cool.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay. How about favorite wine region you've ever visited?
So, I mean, God, I'm so partial to Napa and Sonoma,
Yeah.
but I love Santa Barbara. I've never been to Willamette.
Really? Oh, you gotta get up there.
I know it's got to happen, and the folks that make our Pinot for Elena have invited me up, and I've got to take them up on it and, spend some time there. That's going to happen over the next year. And, on the European side, like I've been to Sicily. So I've, had the wines on Mount Etna, and
That's on my bucket list for sure. I want to get to Etna. I love those wines.
yeah, so that's awesome. But I haven't done any exploring in French wine country. So that is definitely something that will happen at some point as well.
I love it. Okay. I was going to ask favorite wine and food pairing, but I think I'm going to switch it up. Can you share with us a wine and music pairing that you like?
Ooh. Okay.
It doesn't have to be favorite, just one that kind of like you enjoy. I know favorite would be you're literally asking me my favorite of like two things that I love. So just something
Yeah.
that you like.
So I think a lot of people ask, like, what's your favorite album of all time? Or like, what's your desert island album? So for me, I have a very clear answer on that. So
Okay.
the one album I couldn't live without is by Jeff Buckley. It's called Grace.
Okay.
So if you know this album, you love it. If you don't know it, you have to check it out because it's an incredible body of work. And that record could really be paired with a lot of different things. But to me, I would probably go because we were talking about Road 31. Like honestly, I would go one of those Pinots
Yeah.
and Jeff Buckley Grace, and I'm in a happy place.
Okay. I love it. I love it. It's definitely adding that to my list to do. I'm like, all right, listen to the album and either where is the wine from Road 31? If I don't have his wine with me, is it like a Santa Barbara? What type of Pinot Noir is it?
No, it's California. He actually makes his wine. I think he makes it at White Rock.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so the appellation, it's small batch from Napa.
Okay. Okay, so a Napa Pinot Noir.
Yeah, but I think he does make the wine at White Rock.
Cool. Okay. And Jeff Buckley's Grace.
Yeah, I'm a wine club member at White Rock. I love their wines too.
All right. And then, okay, two last questions. If you were given $1,000 to spend on wine, what wine would you buy? Not including your own.
So I would put that towards because it wouldn't cover. So I've never had DRC.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where I would really love to try the right bottle of DRC. So I would take that $1,000 to augment the really high cost of buying, the right vintage of DRC.
Okay. And for folks listening that don't know what DRC is, can you just say what it is?
Domaine Romani Conti, which is arguably,
The best Burgundy, best wine in the world.
yeah, and I say arguably because there's people that'll argue about everything. It's hard to argue that that's not some of the best wine that has ever been created. Vintage specific, of course, but like that's art in a bottle. And it's so limited in production that, you find those bottles, at auction for like crazy prices. And, if you're on WineBid or any of the places where you're buying wine and you'll see, you know, anywhere from like $2,000 to $5,000 a bottle, for recent vintages, and then some back vintages, you're seeing like just insane prices.
Yeah. My husband and I just went to France this last fall and we got to see the vineyard.
Did you?
Yes, we did. The craziest thing is it just has this little wall around it and it just has this little tiny chain that says, please do not come in. And that's it. Like, that's what protects the vineyard that makes the highest cost wine in the world. So
And I guess people listen.
yeah, no, they do. They're like, that's kind of just like, you trust that. Like, this is, you don't step on that. That's important.
I mean, that's cool. And I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know
very
if we could do
cool.
that in America.
I know, I don't think that would work here. No, I don't think so either. Okay, we're gonna end it on I don't know, I thought this would be kind of a fun note to end it on. What is the wine myth that bugs you the most? Or like a disbelief or a misbelief about wine or something that's said a lot where you're like, I just don't, that's not right. That's not true.
Honestly, I think a lot of them are true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that they say about, for example, like you should drink a Pinot Noir in a Pinot Noir glass, or you should drink a Cab in a Cab glass. And they say that for a reason, because the nose is different in those glasses. If you've done like a Riedel glass tasting, or you do any of that stuff, and you actually drink the wine in the glass it's supposed to be in, it is like, that's a real thing. So I know some people are like, it doesn't matter. I can drink it out of a plastic cup, whatever. No, there is a significant difference when you drink the wine in the glass that it's supposed to be in. So I think that's one of those things that people say that's
Yeah.
actually true.
Okay. No, I like that. I think that one's a good one. And I like that it's kind of like it's a wine myth that you don't or
Yeah,
something along
but
those
people
lines.
that's a thing.
No, I agree. I have definitely heard, and like I'm one that get called a snob all the time because I'm like, don't drink the wine directly out of the bottle. Please don't do that. And I do want like a legit, like if I was at a restaurant and they served me wine I've had this happen out of like a highball glass. I do agree. I don't think you need like the most expensive to enjoy, but it does make a difference having a wine glass versus not. And having once you experience it out of a little higher end of glass, you're kind of like ruined because you're like, oh crap, that was actually really good.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And then I guess on the myth side, like the holding of glass, like bowl versus stem, like I know there's a certain way you're supposed to hold it, but like I find myself knowing what I'm supposed to do and still doing the wrong thing, and not enjoying my wine any less. So I think that's another thing.
Okay, perfect. So we feel strongly about what glass it is, but not how you hold that glass.
That's it.
Okay. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, that is a great place to end. Thank you so much for joining me, David, and talking about your life and the DD Project. Like I said, we will put everything in the show notes for how folks can support, whether that's buying wine or donating directly to the foundation, and also applying if that's an opportunity for anybody listening. So continue to spread the word. But thank you so much for joining
Thanks
me.
for having me.
All
Appreciate it.
right. Yeah. Cheers. Have a good one.
You too.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. If you'd like to support the DD Project, and I highly recommend giving them some support because, their wines sound delicious. I know I am very excited to try that Pinot Grigio when it comes out, and also that new Petite Syrah. So if you'd like to support the DD Project and try some of their delicious wines, you can visit www.ddprojectwines.com. That is also where you can make a direct donation to the foundation if you are interested in doing that. And if you'd like to learn more about David's production and management company, along with checking out any of the new live events that they have coming up, check out worksentertainment.com. Now, if you loved this episode and you haven't done it yet, I'm sure so many of you listening are like, Haley, I've done this. I don't need to do it. But if you have not left a rating or left a review, this is your chance. You can make a great difference in my life, at least. So whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, you can either leave a rating or a review. Both would mean the world to me. Now, in next week's episode, we'll be officially starting my Italian wine mini-series with an Italian Wine 101 episode. If you remember the French Wine 101 episode, be very similar to that, but we're going to dive into Italy. Thanks again for listening, and if you want to learn more about wine, come follow me at Cork and Fizz on Instagram. And if you're interested in exploring new wines and joining an incredible community of wine lovers and tasting wine with me in person, kinda, it's over the computer, but we were actually live. It's over a Zoom. You should sign up for my virtual tasting club, The Cork Crew. Head to thecorkcrew.com to learn more, and you can use code WINE101 when you sign up to get your first month free. Cheers!